Well, let's dig deeper now into the significance of this pipeline. John Gong, professor of economics at the University of International Business and Economics, joins us live from Beijing. So, when fully completed, put this pipeline into perspective in terms of its economic benefits for each country.
Well, of course, in China, we as our living standard is improving, the demand for natural gas is also increasing, especially in the context of converting coal consumption to natural gas, which is a lot more environmental friendly. And Russia being a very important energy partner, contributes greatly to its exports to China. And at the same time brings a lot of economic opportunities for that region, the Far East of Russia.
And you mentioned the broader region. What are some of the bigger implications when you have something like this in place?
I think aside from the trade aspect, aside from potential hundreds of billions of trade impact, I think the more significance of this project is really in the strategic sense. And remember when President Trump went to Europe, went to talk to Stoltenberg, the EU the European Union NATO director, he was saying, great, exports and imports are great, trade is great, but oil is always different. That's what he said. And the same case here between China and Russia. I think this further intensifies the strategic partnership between the two countries. As President Xi put it, this represents a paradigm of deep convergence of both countries' interests. And I think this is a very significant statement, aside from just bringing some economic benefits to both countries.
And you raise an interesting point, because this pipeline is being inaugurated during the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between these two nations. So do you see this really as an investment in the sort of longer-term strategic partnership between China and Russia?
Well, I think definitely it's going to happen. President Putin put a very ambitious target on the potential exports of natural gas to China. He said, he wants to reach something like 1 trillion cubic meters of natural gas of exports to China, and also increase Russia's total trade with China to something like $200 billion. So that's a very large and ambitious goal. And I think natural gas and oil will play a very important, major part in this picture he's depicting here. So I think in that sense, this pipeline represents a major step in that direction. Now, I want to also make a note here. This is something that potentially can be tapped by the United States. Now, remember when President Trump came to China, I believe in 2017 or 2018, he signed a whole bunch of deals with China, and including in these deals, a lot of them are liquefied natural gas deals. The United States is rapidly becoming the world's largest oil-producing country, a major oil exporting country. If not, it's going to be the largest oil exporting country. And China represents a very, very large market. But as we all know, because of this trade spat between Washington, D.C. and Beijing, all these basic, very potential opportunities are being lost, I think.
Now, we know that according to NS Energy, just 10 countries hold more than 2/3 of the world's proven natural gas reserves. So outside of China and Russia, how do you see this? How important is this pipeline completion globally in terms of the global energy markets?
Well, it's a major part. As I said, it's going to be potentially 1 trillion a cubic meter of market here between China and Russia. Russia, as we know it, is a major oil-producing country, and I may put this a little bit unpolitely, as the former U.S. Secretary of State Ted Tillerson once said, Russia is a big gas station. So Russia is a big commodity market that China is going to tap into. And this is going to be, and I think these transactions are going to be done outside of the realm of the U.S. dollar. So I think it testifies to the increasing importance of trade and investment market here in the Far East of the world. And also I think it's going to have a very large impact on the climate change. And I think China is going to transition more and more away from coal consumption, and natural gas represents currently the only viable major option here.
And just very quickly, I have about 20 seconds. You mentioned climate change, and we know that this is being launched while the climate change talks are happening in Madrid. How do you see this pipeline impacting overall climate change goals?
Well, I think it's definitely going to help China to realize its emission commitment because, as we all know, coal consumption is the major part of polluting the environment, source of polluting the environment. In northeastern China and northern China, currently most people, especially in the rural communities, they will have to rely on coal for heating in the winter time. And now with this option, I think it's going to alleviate the pollution problem greatly.
Right, thank you so much for your insights. John Gong there, Professor of Economics at the University of International Business and Economics. Thank you so much.